Hello, EDL 602 students. We have entered week 3. As I said before, this summer session moves very quickly. I hope that you guys are staying up on all your assignments and getting everything turned in a timely fashion. Summers are quick. That's the reality. So I'm going to go here to our modules and just kind of do a quick look at week 3. Oh my, week 3. We are at the point of having a virtual class on this Saturday for the 13th, June 13th at 8 a.m. Please make sure you join, have your cameras on, and please sit in a quiet room or an area where the background noise is limited. Again, attendance is taken for every virtual face-to-face class, so hopefully you will sign on. We will do a little bit with our Smart Goals project. I will talk through some data with you guys, and then I will reserve a chunk of time for you guys to ask any questions that you may have during that virtual class, and then we'll also talk about our 6 domains project. So please make sure you sign on so that you can get the last little bit of information you need to finish strong. Now, the week 3 assignment is looking at your domains 4 through 6. And as I said, please make sure you're keeping up on the readings for these chapters because you're reading a book within a 3-week time span. So let's go directly to this Dropbox and look at what our expectations are. Domains 4 through 6, you're doing the pretty much the same thing. You're taking that scenario that you selected when you did 1, 2, and 3, and you're going to apply the questions for domains 4, 5, and 6 and respond to that scenario. So, domain 4, how would an administrator build a culture of care and collaboration that would impact student success? Keeping in mind, I always tell you guys, I like to say, make sure you tie it back to your scenario. If you are a high poverty urban rural elementary school with declining math and literacy scores, why would an administrator have to build a culture of care and collaboration? Think about trust. Think about how that will impact student success if we can sit in a PLC and we can have conversations around data that is one of those vulnerable conversations where my data may be great, yours may not, but having a culture of care and collaboration where we all come to the table to help expand our students, right? And then communicating your core values and creating a climate that clearly states what those values are. So, what are you doing in that urban rural high school that's struggling with curriculum alignment and inconsistent instruction that your core values are tied to that? So thinking through that, and how would an administrator ensure that they manage the resources in a way that focuses on effective instruction and the achievement of all students? What are you doing in that situation to ensure that this is happening, that you are using your resources in a way that's going to help close the achievement gaps between students and subgroups? So making sure whichever scenario that you've selected, that you're tying it back to the response you're providing, as well as using the content that our authors, Carbo and Marzano, have put before us to help in these 6 domains, or these 4 through 6 domains. And remember, we are in third person, academic tone. The school leader will, as an administrator, and make sure that you are using APA format. You need a cover page. You need at least 2 per domain in-text citation, and you end it with your reference page. And again, the only thing on that reference page is your textbook because that's where you're getting your information from. Please make sure you have a heading for each domain. I like to see domain 4 and then you respond, domain 5 and then you respond. Keeps it all organized for me. Integrate your textbook concepts, but do not, guys, use your language. Like, make sure your own language and your analysis of the textbook is what you're using. Let me clarify that. We're not going to plagiarize, but we also don't need a lot of direct quotes. So just make sure you're paraphrasing and it is your own language that you're using. Alrighty, your final submission should be written in your voice and based directly on your understanding of the textbook. And remember what we talked about in our virtual class about plagiarism or AI generated content. Anything above that 25%, I will send it back to you and ask that you redo it. And that's just, William Carey policy is that you're writing your own papers and that you're not typing it into Chat GPT or any of the other platforms to get that generated for you. So, just try to do your best without using AI. Your rubric, again, is listed here for how you get your points. So go and make sure that you are answering the questions, you're tying it back to your actual scenario, and that your formatting is good and you have in-text citation, and you should gain 75 points if you're doing those things, guys. I'm not trying to make this the most complicated assignments. It is a lot, and I try not to act as if it's not, but at the same time, if you're staying up on all your assignments, you should be okay. Now, let's go back up here. I want to make sure that you guys are tracking towards your actual Smart Goals project because it is something that requires you to get data. So please make sure you are retrieving data from someone at your school or that you are using benchmark data that you already have in your possession. The data analysis template is here. If you need to download this template, just go in. Like I said before, you're going to click this button right here and it will automatically download this template to your computer. It is a Microsoft Word document, so it should be easy for you to work in it once you have it downloaded. But make sure you get quality data. I don't want a summative assessment, a 2-week test, or end of a unit test, or end of a book test, or anything like that. It needs to be benchmark data, which means we are testing students for maybe for a 9 weeks period or more. So be mindful of that as you are asking for this data from someone at your school or district office. So that's the high points of what's in week 3 for you guys. The Dropbox is here. After our virtual class, I'll drop a recording here from the virtual class. This weekly instructor video will be... Oh, I left that off. I will add a tab for the weekly instructor video to put it in. Oh, no, there it is. Instructor weekly video for week 2 will be directly under here so that you can access the video. Well, you've already accessed it. What am I saying? Alrighty, let's look at one more thing. I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see the PowerPoint. The thing about the PowerPoint is I'm going to go on to domain 4 just so that we can start where we are going to start our writings this week. So community of care and collaboration. I want to just remind you, when we talk about a community of care and collaboration, we are building a collaborative culture. Think about what that means to you to have a collaborative culture. Is that a culture within your building where everyone's sharing what they're doing? Best practices are shared in PLCs or in planning meetings where we're analyzing assessments, where we're talking about student behavior. That's that collaborative culture where everything's kind of, hey, this is what I'm doing. Hey, this is what I need help with. Uses PLCs effectively. What are you doing in your PLCs? Are they used for grading papers? That's not effective use. Are they used to discuss best practices? Are we going through data analysis? Are we talking about the needs of instruction? That's using your PLCs effectively. Encourages shared responsibility and then promotes trust and communication. As I said before, as the leader of the building, this is one of your places that you will have to lead. You will have to be the leader of building a collaborative culture, and you have to make sure PLCs are working effectively and that the responsibility within a grade level or a team, a discipline area, is being shared responsibly, and that you're promoting trust and communication throughout your school. And also with that, you got to make sure that everyone who enters your school feels that it's a safe, supportive, and caring environment. And you have to foster those strong relationships amongst your staff. amongst the people who work together every day, with the kids, making sure that they feel a sense of value while they're in your care, the families and the community, that they feel like they have a place in your school. You have to encourage collaboration that's focused on student learning, what is best for children. And it has to promote a shared responsibility for student success. Always thinking about student success. That's what we get out of bed for every day, to make sure that we are teaching and students are learning. Now, when we get to domain 5, our core values, as I said before, you need to take out a little notebook, a little journal, and just start developing what you feel are your core values. Because this is going to be what you walk into the building as the principal and share. You have to establish these shared beliefs that guide decisions and actions. And a lot of time, what you value is the thing that your school starts taking on and what molds that environment. And you have to align your staff behavior to your agreed upon values, and then reinforce those high expectations for your adults in the building and the students. And you have to ensure that there is consistency between your words, your actions, and your practices. Because again, words are just words without action, because people see what you do. They don't really believe what you say as much, but they do see how you move in your building and what you are doing to promote the things that you say are your values. And then lastly, we get to domain 6, and that's our resource management. You have to make sure you're strategically allocating time, your staff, and your materials. You are protecting instructional time as a top priority. If you got people making announcements in the middle of the day about things that are irrelevant, why? Take that away, because that's instructional minutes. The kids get off task, the teacher is trying to listen, and then it takes about 5 to 10 more minutes to get everybody back on point to actually get back in the lesson. Something that trivial, you think, but if you add the minutes up, they start adding up. So just making sure that you're protecting instructional time as a top priority, because as many minutes that we can give to instruction, the better our kids will learn. So we're aligning physical, human, and physical resources to our school goals. When we start thinking about what are our core values, what are the goals that we set out to achieve this year, then you have to make sure that your fiscal, human, and physical resources are all targeted toward that goal. And then we're ensuring resources directly support teaching and learning. How are our resources supporting what our teachers are doing in class and what our students are learning in class? These are very essential things when you start thinking about your resources and the management of your school. So making sure you know where money is being spent, and making sure the resources you're spending money on are actually being utilized for student learning. Those are the last of our 6 domains. Thinking through your reflection and discussion, which domain is your strongest? Which domain needs the most growth from you? What is one action you can take this month? And how do the domains work together? We'll discuss this in our virtual class too, and we'll talk through some of that, because by that point, you guys will have read your 6 domains. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching this video for today. And I look forward to seeing you all on our virtual class. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.